Can you beat Resident Evil 4 Remake without random drops? The answer is yes, you can. But how to do that? Well, that's a whole nother story. One filled with pain and suffering and way too much running. But before we dive into it, let me explain how item drops work. First, there are items that the developers lovingly place for us to be always in the same spot, no matter what. And then there are random drops, which make up the majority of what you get. And these are adaptive drops that change based on what's in your inventory. So if you're low on health or ammo or a specific item, the game kindly gives you what you need so you don't rage quit mid-game. How kind of them, right? But today I decided to throw all of that kindness out the window. How can I possibly beat the game without random drops? Especially on the professional difficulty, because apparently I enjoy torturing myself. We start our journey by breaking into a villager's house and then snapping his neck. Now I just ran past everyone in here and I got my first static drop of the game. My plan was to loot every box because I don't know which are static and which are not. And I also wanted to avoid as much enemies as I can to save ammo for the enemies I actually have to kill. So I ran past these enemies, collected more static drops on this house, got an axe to the face, then went to the village. In here I just ran in circles like a maniac for 5 minutes. And that got me through here without wasting any ammo. And there was a good amount of loot in here. In farm I tried to just run past everyone, but this big guy had other plans, so I had to lead him through the wire trap and that bought me enough time to run. In chapter 2 the canyons were pretty challenging and it did cost me a few shots. But after a few attempts I finally got it through. And this was the case for most of the next rooms. I just ran past everyone, looted everything I could, and took a few deaths here and there, but overall I was doing pretty good. I just wish this luck would last for the rest of the game. I hit up the shooting range and I got the merchant charm, which was a pretty nice bonus. And after fighting the loco, I looted all the islands and upgraded my weapons a bit. And my inventory was stacked. I was ready for El Gigante. And then the fight began. I shot him until his plagas appeared, then used the flashbang to knock him down. Then I just shoot or knife his plagas, and with some help from the dog, I managed to beat him on my first try. Although it did cost me a few resources. Nice. After that I got Ashley and managed to escape with only 2 shotgun shots used, and I made it to the village. And this is when the real struggle began. Up until this point, I've been getting a lot of static drops and I was able to run past most enemies. But then I decided to clear this room and do the merchant request in here, which was probably the biggest mistake of the run. It drained most of my ammo and heals, and honestly I probably should have restarted in here, but I didn't. And the worst part is that the cabin fight was up next. What the hell, he was trying to ambush me? Well, there are some static drops in here, that not nearly as much as you'd normally get. And even casually, this part takes a lot of resources. And you have to kill the enemies in here to progress, you can't just run away. Thankfully, Louis was able to give us some handgun ammo, and after a lot of tries, I was finally able to do it. But I used all of my ammo and heals and grenades in here. I only had like 4 shotgun shells left, which made me really wonder how can I survive the next few chapters, because they're pretty unforgiving. And I really didn't want to reload the save because then I would have to do cabin again, and I'm not even sure I can save that much. So as you would expect, this room is a freaking nightmare. I got stuck in here for a while. The only way I managed to do it is by stealth-killing the first 2 people and running to the exit. And I was saving all of the gunpowder I get for emergencies, so I had to craft a flash and use it in here to get past those enemies.
Guess we're doing this.
Ashley, please, come on. Now it was time to face the Bella sisters, and let's just say my ammo situation wasn't looking too hot. Thankfully I had upgraded my sniper rifle, so after looting the area before the fight I had a bit of ammo to work with. And after a lot of tries, I managed to take down the first one with a sniper, then used the SMG and knife to finish off the second. Then I cleared the area, but it was pretty clear that I wasn't getting nearly as many drops as I did before, and things were getting a lot tougher, so I had to change my strategy. From here on, I started using my ammo a lot more efficiently, and the knife became my new best friend. I reached Mendez, swapped out the shotgun for the riot gun with 1 upgrade to the firepower, and then went to the fight with 1 HP and just a handful of handgun and shotgun shots. Luckily there was a heal right upstairs along with 30 handgun bullets. Whoever put this in here is a lifesaver. After many tries, the shotgun was enough to get him to the second phase, but then I ran out of ammo and I had to finish him off with a pistol. And that's one of the main reasons I chose to stick with the Red 9, because it has the highest damage output. And this is where the 30 bullets came in handy. And after a few attempts, I finally defeated him and headed towards the castle with 8 handgun bullets. 6 handgun bullets to my name. And we all know what's waiting for me in the next chapter. But before that, there was a lot of pain and suffering to be had. And this challenge quickly turned into a knife-only challenge, because I used 5 of my pistol shots on this Plagas and used 1 to bring up the cannon. So I had to dip into my emergency gunpowder, and I crafted some handgun ammo to shoot the catapults. So I need to make every shot count. Except for that one. And the Red 9 wasn't exactly helping either, because this bloom was super annoying.
What is this, man?
And my plan was to reach the cannon in one piece so I can use it to clear the enemies in here. And that was much easier said than done, because I had no ammo, no heals, and worst of all, I had Ashley. After finally clearing the room, the only drops I got were these large resources and 5 rifle bullets. So that's all the ammo I had. And I told you before that all of this started from the merchant request on the village. It was definitely the worst decision I made on this challenge. On the next merchant I got the Magnum because there was a discount on it, and a free Magnum ammo recipe. And I thought that I should buy the bolt thrower because it has retrievable ammo. And that would be really helpful in this challenge. And that was the second worst decision I made on this challenge. Because this weapon is trash, complete garbage, I just wasted my money, I sold it again immediately after. After that I cleared the next room along with the garador fight. They were both pretty tough, but my knife ended up doing most of the heavy lifting. Then I reached the one room I was absolutely dreading. The water hall. I went in with nothing but 10 pistol shots and 3 shotgun shells to my name. So I had to rely on my emergency gunpowder again. My strategy for this room is always the same. Shoot the archers, go in to piss off enemies inside, lure them outside, and deal with them in here. And I did manage to kill most enemies this way, although I probably should have used my ammo a bit more efficiently. Just like you should like this video if you're enjoying it. After killing most enemies, my health was on the red, so I decided to visit my old pal, the merchant, thinking he always sells you a first aid kit if you don't have any in your inventory. Well, I was wrong. He only sells you 1 per chapter, which was pretty frustrating. I only had a snake to carry me through the rest of this chapter. After getting the crank, I was 1 sneeze away from dying, and I had no ammo, and before I could use the crank, I still had 2 enemies to deal with knife only, and it took me like 30 minutes to do. And then I had to do the Ashley crank part without ammo somehow. So in order to do this, I kept the DLC weapon stashed away as my ultimate emergency backup. Well, this was officially an emergency since I have no ammo. Then I used the crank and went up to knife one of the archers and used the essential knife to shoot the last one. But even with the DLC weapons, I knew they wouldn't cut it for the next section. So it was time to pay another visit to the merchant. I threw all of my remaining cash at a Stingray. I know I already had an upgraded rifle, but I had no ammo for it, so this way I could get 10 precious shots to help me survive Ashley's part. Then I had a light bulb moment. I sold my empty TMP and a few treasures to buy a brand new one. It may seem crazy because I just lose 5,000 pesetas doing this, but it gave me some much needed ammo to work with. This quickly became my new strategy for the rest of the game. Sell the empty TMP, buy a fresh one, repeat. But hey, 30 bullets are 30 bullets. I even took it further by selling the Skull Shaker with its measly 2 shells and swapping it for the Sardine shotgun. And that may seem like a little too much just to get 3 extra bullets, but desperate times called for desperate measures. And this was all I could do to prepare for the nightmare ahead. Now it was time to actually do this section, and dear God was it brutal. My health was still on the red and there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. And to make matters even worse, on professional, every single death means walking all the way back to try again. A frustration that really made me question my life choices. I spent over an hour struggling in here, but then I had an idea. Why not watch someone who's actually good at the game? So I found this no damage run by Master KD. So I started analyzing this video. I memorized the spawn locations and order of every enemy in this room. Armed with this new info, I went back in with a plan. I used the sniper to take out all of the enemies on the top level, then sniped 2 more below. From here I just pulled out my shotgun for the shield guys and improvised my way through the rest, scrapping by however I could.
Right. Come on now.
Why aren't you dead yet, man? Come on. Oh god. I had to waste those magnum shots. God, I really don't want to shoot her accidentally. Move, come on.
Oh god. Come on, Ashley, please move. God damn it.
Drop the girl.
I guess I have to craft some ammo. Nice, I got the bonus. A much needed bonus.
Ashley, just move, god damn it. Ashley, move, for the love of God, woman. Is that it? Oh, please tell me that's it. Thank God, man. I mean, I'm doing pretty shit on ammo and money and everything, but at least this is over. After that, I collected some fish in the pool, and from now on, I was buying and storing a first aid kit at the beginning of every chapter, since it doesn't matter how many heals you have. And then it was time for the Red Zealot room. I plan to do this room stealth only, and it can actually be done entirely without getting detected, as shown in this video by KV Zone HD. So, channeling my inner Snake from all the times I played Metal Gear, I started sneaking through the room, stealth killing enemies one after the other. No one even noticed I was there. Until they did.
God,
Sorry to interrupt.
Shit. Shit, I could have knocked him. Is it done? Okay, nice. Oh shit. After that, we get formally introduced to a new Plagas type, because of course things weren't bad enough. Then I reach an area I'm not really a big fan of. But thankfully there's a skip in here. If you shoot right here, I meant right there, you can skip this tower entirely, which was very helpful. From there, I just ran straight to the cannon, ignoring everything on my way. And once I got to it, I used it to take out the Gigante, along with any enemies who were still brave enough to follow me. And then came another room I wasn't exactly excited for. Maze. This room is always tricky, and I was stuck in here for a while, but then I remembered a post I saw on Reddit by CodeGrammarX, and he found out that the dogs are really weak to knife attacks. And of course this works best when you knife them while they're lunging at you, which was pretty hard to do. But knowing this made the room feel a bit more doable. So I started using this strategy to take down most of the dogs that crossed my path, but halfway through I noticed something. These knife finishers take out durability like crazy, and if I kept this up, my knife wouldn't last for the whole room. And there was no merchant nearby, and relying on weapons wasn't an option either because I barely had any ammo. At that point I had no choice but to spam regular knife attacks until they were down. It wasn't really elegant, but it worked. And after spending way too much time in here, I somehow managed to survive the chaos and make a run for it just in time. Ashley, where the hell are you, woman?
Come on. Ballroom must be this way.
Thank God, man. I don't know how it happened, but it did.
Yeah, thanks.
Then I reached the Grand Hall, and I did some shooting range in here, and I got some really good charms, which were a knife repair discount, an armor repair discount, and a 20% weapon resale value. These were especially helpful because I was constantly getting slapped around by enemies, and I was using my knife most of the time. So I'm always repairing both of them. The resale value charm was especially helpful because my new ammo strategy involved selling and rebuying weapons. And this charm made the whole process a little less painful on my wallet. Safe to say, these charms proved to be real game changers for me in this run. Then I did some backtracking before doing this bridge room, and by using a flash to prevent this guy from lowering the bridge, we can skip most of it. So I got the goat head along with 3 shotgun bullets I found in here, then I somehow squeezed through these enemies and ran out.
What the hell is happening?
I'm not sure how that happened, but I'm glad it did. And now for knights. This room had some static drops, which were large resources and a flash and some handgun ammo. And the knights would come at me in 3 waves, and I had to do the first wave with only the pistol ammo I got in here because that was all I had. And finishing this room finished all of my ammo. I only had the 3 shotgun shells from last room. But now Ashley makes herself useful by throwing the blue lantern so I could kick enemies, then I used the flash I got in here and that got me through the second wave. Then I crafted another flash that did the same thing for the last wave. After that I did Ashley's section, I got the CQBR, but I didn't do the merchant request in here. I really tried, but it was just a waste of time and ammo, and it really wasn't worth it. Then came the pest control, which was much easier said than done, because there were a lot of novies in here, and I was mostly relying on the knife to kill them with Essential 9 as a backup. The only upside of this room is that my friend the merchant was just nearby, so if I had to repair my knife or armor or rebuy the pistol, the merchant was pretty close and I could just go back and save if I wanted to. Now comes one of the hardest rooms in the game, the double garador. I know I needed to prepare, so I headed back to a previous room, and it had only 2 enemies left, since most of them despawn after finishing the chapter. And I managed to grab some loot to give myself a fighting chance. And with that out of the way, it was time to face the garadors. My usual strategy involves baiting them to the bell as soon as they break out, and then spamming them with heavy grenades. But this time I only had 1 small grenade, and I didn't have enough gunpowder to craft any heavy grenades. And I kept trying to do it this way, but with no luck, so that plan was out the window. Then I got an idea. All rifles in this game deal triple damage when you hit a weak spot, and for garadors that's the plague out on their back. So I sold my upgraded rifle, thanks to the resale charm, and I bought it again for 5 fresh rifle bullets, and I dumped all of my money upgrading the rifle power to level 4. And I was ready to go. Now I went straight for the garadors, aiming for the normal one. Then I started shooting his plagas with my rifle, while trying to dodge the other enemies in here. And after 3 sniper shots to his weak spot, he was down. So it was time for the second one. And I was trying to shoot his plagas and sneak in a knife if possible, because my knife was also very powerful. But dodging the other enemies in this room while trying to shoot this guy made things tricky, and I missed my last 2 shots. And that left me in a tough spot.
Missed that last shot now, man.
Thankfully I had a secret plan. The CQBR. And while its firepower is lower, it was already loaded with 20 bullets, and unloading on this garador's plagas was enough to take him down.
Nice.
After that, it was just a matter of cleaning up the remaining enemies, and the room was finally clear.
Thank God.
Then, before I could save, I had to go through these invisible novies using only my knife, and I almost died in here. Now I was getting closer and closer to Verdugo, and I couldn't help but get flashbacks of this guy from my last challenge. But it was time to face him, and it ended up being one of the easiest encounters in the game. Right after he spawned, I just froze him and shot him a few times until he hit again. Then I just ran in circles for a few minutes, and the elevator came and I just hopped in and left. As simple as that. After reuniting with Lewis, I took some time at the shooting range and I managed to get the Ashley charm. And I learned that this charm stacks up with both the green herb and the red zealot charm, giving me a significant boost to health recovery from green herbs. A much needed bonus at this point. Next up was the room with the chainsaw couple. I had no handgun ammo going in, but thankfully Lewis came through and gave me 20 bullets as soon as the fight began. What a lifesaver. But I did avoid any unnecessary kills to conserve ammo.
Thank you. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Then it was time for the double Gigante room. I started unloading my red 9 into the unarmed Gigante until his plagas appeared. Once it was exposed, I used a flash grenade to stagger him, making sure he fell on top of the hatch. Then I sent him for a swim. And the armored one, I crafted another flash, repeated the process, and set him down to join his buddy in the hot tub. And in this room, Lewis proved to be the hero of this run yet again, giving me 20 bullets whenever I was low on ammo, which allowed me to handle this fight without completely depleting my resources. After this battle, my ammo situation finally began to stabilize, and for the first time in a while, I wasn't struggling to keep my weapons loaded. And then came the minecart section, which wasn't special at all because you get unlimited ammo in here, and then came novies. I tried to kill all of them in here, but I just ended up using most of my ammo and resources, and I died.
God damn it.
So for my new strategy, I just ran past most of them, letting them all gang up on Lewis, while I only killed a few, mostly with my knife to save ammo. And then we meet Krauser, kick him in the face, and then we go back to the castle. I got this golden egg in here, and I was saving the one from the village, and then I waited for the chicken to drop more eggs, and I used one of them for the merchant request. After that, there was this elevator room, and I tried to use the ball in here to kill most enemies to save ammo. I even timed it to get the red guy who spawns right after you get on the lift.
Lift. How thoughtful. You don't give up, do you?
Now we reached Salazar, and luckily, we all know about his severe egg allergies. So I used the 2 golden eggs on him and he was down. Now we reached the island. I got the killer 7 on this merchant, and then I did the turret skip in here. Then I went on to stealth kill or avoid as much enemies as I can, until I reached the regenerators. And there was no way I'm gonna kill those guys before getting the scope, so I just got slapped around for a bit while waiting for the keycard, and then I just ran away from here. I finally reached this room with the 4 regens and it was filled with static drops. Things were starting to look good. And in here I only have to kill 1 regen to get the wrench. But I had a good amount of rifle ammo and I was tempted to kill them all because I had good treasures, so that is exactly what I did. Although after I got the keycard I wasn't gonna face the enemies in here, so I just ran away. And for the next area I was just using my pistol or TMP. And whenever I ran out of ammo, I just run back to the merchant and sell them and rebuy them. So I was barely using any ammo from my inventory. I reached this Iron Maiden and I had a lot of rifle ammo, so fighting him was a breeze. Well, breeze is a strong word. In the next room I have to turn on the power while Ashley holds the bridge for me. And if I just camp in here, I can shoot all the enemies that are going after Ashley before the regenerator spawns in here. So that's what I did, or at least that's what I thought I did. Because as soon as I reached the bridge, Ashley got grabbed and I had to free her and play tag with the meaty boy in here while she uses the crank again. And then she introduced him to the concept of gravity.
Nice.
Next up we have the wrecking ball. I just used my emergency gunpowder to craft 2 heavy grenades, so the first ball destroyed the wall. Then I just ran away and surprisingly the enemies despawned, leaving Ashley free.
Shit!
Did Ashley just get free? Yeah, she did.
Now before I went to face Krauser, I sold my empty riot gun and rebought it. And I upgraded the firepower a lot. I also upgraded some other weapons and I went in. At this point I had pretty strong weapons and I was doing pretty well on heals and ammo, so this fight was pretty easy. For the first phase I just bring him down with any weapon, then use the knife on him when he's down. And for the last phase, I used the big guns like the shotgun and the magnum and grenades, and that was more than enough to kill him. We finally reached chapter 15, and I get to take a little break in here, because Mike takes care of all of the enemies. You just have to be a little patient sometimes.
Mike! God damn it, Mike!
Now I just use grenades on this turret so I don't have to go around, and I just waited in here for Mike to clear out any enemies that are on my way. After that I needed to do this room on my own, and it wasn't that bad, because I did have some ammo to work with. I just killed the enemies that are on my way, so I don't waste too much ammo. Next up we have this regenerator room, and if you don't hit the bags with the regens on, they never come out. And now we go to the last room before Sadler, and I could use all the ammo I want in here, but I ended up doing it like the last one, killing only the enemies that are on my way. And after a very exciting walk with Ashley, it was time for Sadler. I tried killing him using my weapons, but after a few tries, I was getting frustrated, so I just sold some of my weapons, and that gave me more than enough ammo to buy a rocket launcher, which made this fight look like a joke. Then I just shot him with the special rocket launcher, and I didn't die on jet ski this time. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy this one where I tried to beat this game with enemies double the speed. It was definitely the hardest challenge I've ever did.